As Christians, we have a lot in common with the Jewish people. We share a lot of the background of the Jewish people, certainly throughout the Old Testament, and recognize their presence, of course, in the New Testament. The Jewish people have a lot of holidays which seem strange and unfamiliar to even to most average Christians. And I found a child's article. I don't know when it was written or who wrote it, but it's about the Jewish holidays, and I would like to share that with you now. The holidays of the Jewish people are among the most beautiful celebrations in the world. Jewish holidays are religious and honor important events in the history of the Jewish people. The celebrations are held in homes and in the synagogue, that would be the house of worship, sort of like our church. Ceremonies begin at sunset on the eve of the holiday, and these holidays are observed in the Jewish nation, Israel, and by the Jewish people who are scattered throughout the world. Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish New Year. It is a time to repent for past sins and misdeeds. In every synagogue, prayers are read. A ram's horn, called a shofar, is blown. This is the call for people to remember their past sins and to ask forgiveness for them. At home, the people dip an apple and bread in honey. These acts call for hope in the new year. Rosh Hashanah is the first day of a 10-day period of penance. The 10th day is Yom Kippur, one of the holiest of all Jewish holidays. Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement. It is a day of fasting when people do not eat or drink. It is another day to repent for all sins. In the synagogue, services begin with the singing of a prayer, the Kol Nidre, and the prayer begs for the release from promises made to God that were not kept during the past year. And at the end of Yom Kippur services, atonement for the past year is completed, and a new year begins. A candle burns in the home for the 24 hours of Yom Kippur. One of the most festive Jewish holidays is Purim. It is in celebration of the deed of Esther as told in the Bible. The book of Esther tells the story of an evil man named Haman, who planned to kill all the Jews in Persia. Esther, the queen of Persia, begged the king to help the Jews, and he did, and Haman was put to death. In the synagogue on Purim, the book of Esther is read, and every time the name of Haman is mentioned, the children stamp their feet and shake noisemakers. Gifts are also given on Purim. It is, in the past, children often dressed in costumes on this day. Hanukkah is a festival which lasts for 8 days. It is sometimes called the Feast of Lights, and it occurs in December and is a joyous occasion. Hanukkah celebrates the victory of the Maccabees over the Syrian king Antiochus, and according to Jewish history, Antiochus tried to force the Jewish people into paganism and to destroy the Jewish people. Led by Judas Maccabeus, the Jews defeated Antiochus, and they returned to Jerusalem to rededicate their temple. The Jews found only enough sacred oil to burn for 1 day, yet the oil somehow burned for 8 days. Hanukkah is celebrated for 8 days because of this miracle. And each night of the 8 nights of Hanukkah, a candle is lit and prayers are said. The 8 candles are held in a candelabra called a menorah. Hanukkah is a time for happy celebrations. There are parties, gifts given, special games are played, like the Dreidel Games. The dreidel is a spinning top with 4 sides, and each side has a letter of the Hebrew alphabet printed on it. The most famous of the Jewish holidays is, of course, Passover, and it celebrates the flight of the Jewish people from slavery, as told in the Bible book of Exodus. Led by Moses, the Jews came to the Promised Land to begin a new life of freedom. And Passover occurs in March or April of each year, and it lasts for 8 days. Some groups of Jewish people, however, only observe it for 7 days. The 8th day was not added until the Middle Ages. The most important part of the Passover celebration is the Seder. It consists of both a religious service and a meal. Special foods and wines are served. During the 8 days, no leavened bread, which is made with yeast, can be eaten. The people eat matzah, unleavened bread. On the table are symbols of the Passover, a roasted lamb bone, and a roasted egg. Prayers are said, and the story of Exodus is read. These are continued in the book of worship called the Haggadah. As part of a ceremony, the youngest child asks 4 questions about Passover. The questions are always the same, and the answers are contained in the Haggadah. Passover is a special holiday for children. They take an active part in the celebrations, and it serves to remind them of the history of their people. And that's a brief look at some of the Jewish holidays. There are others, but I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for stopping by. Have a great night, and God bless each and every one.